Countess Bathory, a Hungarian noblewoman from the prominent Bathory family, faced chilling accusations of torturing and murdering hundreds of girls and women between 1590 and 1610. These tortures included brutal beatings, biting, cutting, and piercing with sharp objects like knives and needles. Victims were often starved and kept in inhumane conditions, and they endured the pain of burning and freezing as hot instruments and cold water were used against them. Forced labor added to their suffering, and psychological abuse through threats and intimidation compounded their torment. The charges leveled against Countess Bathory have sparked significant debate among historians. While some have described them as a witch hunt and conspiracy, others, including Michael Farren, asserted that the accusations were supported by testimony from more than 300 individuals, some of whom provided details of physical evidence and the presence of mutilated, dying, and imprisoned girls at the time of Bathory's arrest.
Ever heard of the Blood Countess? Elizabeth Bathory's story is so shocking it's hard to tell what's fact and what's legend. Elizabeth Bathory was a powerful Hungarian countess from the late 1500s. She was rich, beautiful, and married into one of Europe's most influential families. But behind the wealth and status lies a tale that's terrifying. She's accused of torturing and killing hundreds of young women. Some even say she bathed in their blood to stay young, though historians aren't so sure about that part. Eventually, Elizabeth was caught. Her crimes shocked Europe, and she was sentenced to be locked in her own castle forever. But was she truly guilty or just the victim of a conspiracy? Elizabeth Bathory remains a mystery. Was she a serial killer or a scapegoat? Whatever the truth, her story became the stuff of nightmares. So, was she the most dangerous woman in history, or just a legend twisted over time? Let me know what you think in the comments. Want to uncover more faces from the past? Hit that like button and follow for more.
Meet Elizabeth Bathory, also known as the Blood Countess, and trust me, she definitely earned that title. Born in 1560 to one of the most powerful noble families in Hungary, Elizabeth seemed like your average, super wealthy aristocrat. But behind the walls of her massive castle, something far darker was happening. Elizabeth had a little secret, okay? A pretty big secret. She had an obsession with staying young forever. And unfortunately for the young women of her region, she thought the key to eternal youth was, well, bathing in their blood. Yep, you heard that right. Over the course of several years, Elizabeth lured servant girls to her castle under the guise of employment, only for them to disappear without a trace. Elizabeth believed that bathing in the blood of young women would keep her skin youthful and her beauty intact. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. But she didn't stop at just one or two victims. Oh no, Elizabeth went on to unalive hundreds of girls, some estimates say as many as 650. Now, you might be wondering, how did she get away with this for so long? Well, being a noble with lots of cash and power helps. Plus, it was the 1500s. People weren't exactly CSI-level detectives back then. But eventually, rumors started to spread. When King Matthias of Hungary heard that something wasn't quite right in the Bathory castle, he sent investigators to check it out. When they finally raided her castle in 1610, they discovered what can only be described as a house of horrors, bodies of victims, some still alive but severely injured. It was clear Elizabeth had been up to something far worse than anyone had imagined. She was arrested, along with a few of her servants who had helped her. And get this, because she was a noble, Elizabeth didn't even go to trial. Instead, she was sentenced to life imprisonment in her own castle, basically house arrest, but with no Wi-Fi. She spent the last 4 years of her life bricked into a single room, with only small slots for food and air. Talk about a dramatic fall from grace. So, the next time you're feeling a bit insecure about your skin, maybe stick to a good skincare routine and leave the bloodbaths to, history.
Welcome back to Speedy History. Today's topic, Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess. Yep, history's real-life vampire. The story goes that Bathory, a 1600s Hungarian noblewoman, killed hundreds of young girls and bathed in their blood. Forget anti-aging cream. She took it to a whole new level. But was she actually a killer or just the victim of some serious slander? Bathory was a powerful woman with some serious enemies, and history doesn't exactly play nice with women in charge. Some say the rumors were part of a plot to take her down. In 1610, she was sentenced to house arrest in her own castle, where she died. So, was she a murderer or a scapegoat? scapegoat. Either way, her story still sends chills down our spines. Let us know in the comments, killer or conspiracy. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more wild history. See you in the next video.
Often called the Blood Countess, Elizabeth Bathory was a Hungarian noblewoman who is widely considered to be history's most deranged female serial killer. Throughout the late 16th and early 17th centuries, Bathory reportedly lured young peasants to her castle with promises of high-paying jobs as servants. Once trapped in the citadel, these victims were subject to unspeakable torture. Some were beaten or stabbed with needles, while others were stripped naked and left to freeze in the snow. According to legend, Bathory even bathed in the blood of her virgin victims, believing it would keep her skin radiant and youthful. Bathory allegedly massacred as many as 80 peasant girls, though the number may be as high as 600. But it was only when she turned her attention to young noblewomen that she was finally stopped. In 1611, she was bricked up inside her castle chambers with only a small opening for food. She would die 4 years later in 1614. Some historians have
Meet Countess Elizabeth Bathory, the infamous Blood Countess of Hungary. Her story is filled with mystery, and some say she was the most dangerous woman in history. Legend says that Elizabeth hurt many young girls and even believed their blood could keep her young forever. People were scared of her, and rumors spread through the kingdom. But in the end, Elizabeth was captured and locked in her own castle for her cruel actions. Her story became a warning. Power can be dangerous if used for evil. Follow for more stories of legends.
Dive into the darkest corners of history, where the strange is normal and the terrifying is just another Tuesday. Today, we're uncovering the chilling tale of Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess. Elizabeth Bathory, a Hungarian noblewoman, hid a dark secret behind her noble status. Obsessed with youth and beauty, she kidnapped, tortured, and murdered young girls. Her reign of terror lasted for years, leaving countless families devastated and a community in shock. Bathory's twisted mind led her to believe she could get away with anything. With every victim, she added to her collection of gruesome rituals, bathing in their blood to preserve her youth, a chilling reminder of the lives she had taken. But the story doesn't end with Bathory's arrest. Her trial was as sensational as her crimes, revealing a twisted network of servants and accomplices. She was sentenced to life imprisonment, confined to a small room in her castle where she perished. Her legend lives on, inspiring countless tales of horror and vampiric lore. For more crazy but true crime tales, be sure to follow us. Do you know any other stories like this? Share them in the comments below.
In the villages below, rumors spread like wildfire. They say the castle's walls have absorbed the screams of girls, that blood stains the cold stones beneath Elizabeth's feet. They say she bathed in that blood, believing it would keep her youthful, beautiful. But was it true? Was Elizabeth Bathory the monster they feared, or was there more to her story? Power, blood, and a cold legacy.
How did a noblewoman become one of history's most notorious figures? Elizabeth Bathory, a Hungarian countess in the 16th century, is infamous for allegedly torturing and murdering hundreds of young girls. Known as the Blood Countess, legend claims she bathed in the blood of her victims in a twisted attempt to preserve her youth. While the exact number of her victims and the truth behind these stories remain debated, Bathory's reputation as one of history's most prolific female serial killers endures. Her crimes came to light when she was arrested in 1610, and she was later confined to her castle until her death. Was Elizabeth Bathory a victim of political conspiracy, or was she truly the monstrous figure history remembers? Her dark legend continues to captivate, blending fact and fiction in a chilling tale of power, cruelty, and myth.
Did you know that Elizabeth Bathory, one of the most infamous female serial killers in history, is known as the Blood Countess? Her horrifying crimes in Hungary in the late 16th and early 17th centuries continue to shock to this day. Elizabeth Bathory, a noblewoman, was accused of killing hundreds of young girls. According to legend, she bathed in the blood of her victims, believing it would help her maintain her youth. Her castle, Countess, became a place of gruesome torture and murder. In 1610, Bathory was arrested after evidence of her horrific crimes was discovered. Despite numerous witness testimonies and found evidence, she never faced trial due to her high social status. Elizabeth was confined to her castle, where she spent the remaining 4 years of her life in solitude.
True crime history. Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess. Elizabeth Bathory was born in 1560. This Hungarian countess was said to have tortured and killed well over 600 peasant girls. Bathory was said to have ingested victims' blood as part of rituals, as well as bathing in their blood to maintain a young appearance for her husband. When peasant girls became hard to come by, she started to pick off daughters of less wealthy nobility. When the Hungarian king could no longer turn a blind eye to this crime, Bathory was confined to her room for the remainder of her life.
They say Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess, bathed in the blood of virgins to stay young forever. But did she really? Elizabeth Bathory, one of history's most infamous figures, was accused of torturing and killing hundreds of young girls in her quest for eternal beauty. But was she a sadistic monster, or merely the victim of a powerful conspiracy? One of the most chilling tales tells of how she lured young girls to her castle, promising them work, only to subject them to unimaginable horrors. Imagine the terror they must have felt as they realized there was no escape from the Countess's grasp. The legend says she would drain their blood, believing it held the secret to everlasting youth. But was this gruesome ritual real, or is it just a dark myth that has grown over the centuries? Even now, historians debate the truth behind these stories. Were they exaggerated by her enemies, or did Elizabeth Bathory's cruelty truly know no bounds? Her legacy remains shrouded in mystery and fear, a chilling reminder of how history can blur the line between fact and fiction. Curious to uncover more terrifying tales? Follow us, and we'll keep you on the edge of your seat with history's darkest secrets. Don't let the past haunt you. Join us for more. Stay curious. Stay eerie.
I took baths in the blood of my victims, sewed the mouths of my maids, and poured boiling water over them. I am Elizabeth Bathory. Born to nobility in 1560 Hungary, I was one of the wealthiest women of my time. From 1609 to 1610, I imprisoned and tortured hundreds of servant girls to death at my estate, Szeged Castle, believing their blood preserved my beauty. In my youth, I was known for charm and looks. But age dimmed my radiance. When a servant accidentally pricked me, I noticed her blood reviving my skin. I became convinced only human blood could stop time. With loyal servants' aid, I lured peasant girls to the castle with false work promises. Behind stone walls, their lives were mine. I would starve, burn, and beat them to bathe in and drink their blood. Their screams brought demented pleasure in power over life and death. Many noticed the disappearances, but my name protected me. King Matthias investigated, finding over 300 victims buried on my land. My servants were executed, but as a lady, I was imprisoned in my castle. Unrepentant, I spent 4 final years there. My thirst for blood made me legend, the Blood Countess, a monster in noblewoman's guise. I caused immense suffering to satisfy vanity and madness. My name lives on, a cautionary tale of the horrors behind status and privilege. My acts were the reason they called me the Blood Countess. I was the reason so many young lives were taken before their time. Please consider subscribing and leaving a comment to let me know if this story has captured your attention.
Hi there, I am Elizabeth Bathory, often called the Blood Countess. Born in 1560 into one of the most powerful families in Hungary, I was destined for greatness. My family had influence, wealth, and the ear of kings. From a young age, I was surrounded by power, but also by the dark secrets that came with it. I was married to Ferenc Nadasdy, a nobleman who would later become a war hero. Together, we managed vast estates, but while he fought battles, I was left to manage things on my own. They say power corrupts, and perhaps it did. Rumors began to swirl around me. They said I was obsessed with beauty, with staying young forever. They said I took drastic measures to preserve my looks, that I believed bathing in the blood of virgins would keep my youth intact. The whispers spread like wildfire, but it's hard to know where the truth ends and the legend begins. In 1610, those rumors caught up with me. I was accused of murdering hundreds of young girls, most of them servants or peasants. The tales of my cruelty were shocking, but were they true? I was never given a fair trial, of course. A woman of my stature brought to ruin by the accusations of men who coveted my lands and wealth. It's not hard to see how such a story could be twisted. In the end, I was walled up in my castle, never to see the light of day again. Some say I was a monster, others a victim of a vicious smear campaign. But ask yourself, how much of what you've heard is the truth, and how much is simply the story of a powerful woman who fell from grace? The truth, perhaps, lies somewhere in the blood-soaked halls of history. My name is Elizabeth Bathory, and this is my story.